wish to, who you're backing this election, why, and why you're voting for them, why you think they're more attractive, and why do you think they're the ones who you should throw your support behind. We also have the issue of the observer mission. For a while there, we were thinking we would probably not have any. Well, we got the news last night that, in fact, a mission came in. But we do have a call. Hi, good morning. Go right ahead, please. Make your point.
Yeah, good morning to everyone right across the planet, and good morning to you, Mr. Richards. And I just want to say I'm going and voting for Mr. General Power in constituency number 2. And the reasons being, the current representative we have accused people in the constituency of begging too much. Begging too much. Now, who have to do the begging? The representative have to come now and beg the same people who she said is always begging to come and beg to vote for her now. So I'm gonna leave it there for now.
Okay,
But I
but
want them to know.
before you go, let me ask you a quick question.
Yes.
Is it just Journal, or are you voting for Team Unity in general?
I'm voting for both Team Unity and Journal. I'm a PLP and I'm voting for Journal.
Well, you explained the Journal part of it. What is the Team Unity part of it? What is attracting you about Team Unity?
They have the crime situation, they have the $500, they have the house repair program, and they have a lot of young men in Magnet right now have far more responsibility, whether it's property, vehicle, or name it. Yeah, far more responsibility. Who have gotten opportunities under this government here, but they've never ever even dream of having under Marcelo. I will never even get under Marcelo representation, and that is where we're going to bring an end to her representation tomorrow for sure.
Okay, thank you very much. So I was saying, oh, we have another call. Hi, hello, good morning.
Yes, hi, good morning. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. You?
Okay, I'm calling long distance, and I just want to say to the people of Nevis and St. Kitts that the old people had a few sayings. A few of the sayings were, be careful what you do. Promises is a comfort to a fool, and actions speak louder than words. When you make your bed, you have to lie in it. So what I'm trying to say is, don't go out to the polls tomorrow just to vote for loyalty. Compare the economic growth from the past party to the economic growth of the party now and make your decision based on those issues and progress that you have seen. Because once you make that decision, you're going to have to live with it for 5 years. So don't just go out and vote because you're loyal to a party. Vote based on what you have seen them done and if we improve your living condition over the years. So good luck on Friday, and please vote for what is best for you and the progress of your country, and be honest about it, because 5 years is a long time to turn around and say, wow, we made a big mistake.
Are you calling from
Especially
overseas?
now that the economy is so bad.
Are you calling from overseas? Did you say you're calling from
Yes,
overseas?
I am.
Okay. If you were in St. Kitts and Nevis, though, would you tell us who you would be voting for?
Well, I won't be able to vote because I left there as a child. So I was not too age to register to vote. So I have no party. But if I were a registered voter there, I would do what I advise. I would look and see which party has done the best and bring us forward. I was there last year, June, for the music festival. And I was like, oh, my God, I can't believe this is the same kid that I left behind, because a lot of people made choices in the 60s and the 70s, 80s and 90s to leave St. Kitts because they thought they were looking for a better life based on the condition that was there then. So the decision was looking for something better. So now that St. Kitts has improved so much and has come so far economically, and you can see the progress of the place compared to how it was all those years ago when people leave their country to go to America and Canada and have to fight for green card and all kind of things. People is crossing the borders from Mexico and all kind of stuff because they're making the choice for a better life. So why would anyone want to make a choice for a life that's going to make them struggle more? When as we go forward into the future, things is getting worse. Look at this virus. If you don't have money saved, if you didn't have a government to prepare a stimulus package for a lot of people who never saved the money because maybe they might not have been having enough income because of their situation, there would have been a lot of starvation going on. So you have to look at that you didn't have the money to prepare for a crisis, but the government came in and helped you. What if you didn't have a government to help you? What would happen to you? How would you feed yourself? How would you survive? It is not about loyalty anymore. Coming up, everybody is loyal. They grow up a PAM, they grow up a Labour, and they stick to that. And then change their view of things based on how the people are improving their living conditions. And that is wrong. It's time for people down there to wake up. Stop being loyal to a party just because your mother was a PAM and your mother was a Labour. It's time for you to open your eyes and realize now that you have to vote on the issues and who is doing the best for you. It's not about loyalty. You can't take loyalty to the bank. The politicians and them have their money. So when you vote for them, when they get in there, if they haven't proved themselves to you and you benefit from them, you're the one who is going to suffer, not them. And if you vote out a party that is good to you, they ain't going to suffer because they have the money to take care of themselves and their family. You're the one going to suffer based on your decisions you make because it's the poor man that put in the politicians in there. So you've got to put in politicians that's going to work for you and who have proven to you that they have improved the finances of the country and that you're benefiting from it.
Okay.
I am proud to see that St. is giving money to people based on the income is too low and stuff like that. Come on, guys.
Okay, so the change you saw is very positive, and it sounds like you have great ideas as well. Why don't you relocate and help make a more serious contribution as well?
A lot of people out here have their pension and stuff and they would love to come home. And the only reason why they're not coming home is because of the healthcare system. Now I know it's trying to be improved. And another thing, I was in the 90s when Aston Martin was in charge of the healthcare. And I had an accident and I experienced the care at the hospital. The doctor stitched me up with thread that you so close with because it didn't have the right suturing stuff to stitch me up with. I called Aston Martin because its pilot and them wasn't working. They were giving you Milo in those kind of potty cups and corned beef and with a Milo for breakfast. I was like, wow. And the nursing staff was so rude. I called him and I talked to him and I said, listen, man, this is the kind of service that they gave to people here. He said, well, we know they're rude, but all they do is change them and put them from one place to the next to work. It's hard to control that. And I was still shocked to see that they have these kind of wards where they have a cloth and people could come and look in on you and stuff like that. So the condition that the hospital is that people inherit, if they had improved the healthcare 20 years ago, then the person who come in would have been able to have something to work with to improve it more. So now they're talking about, they're going to bring in hospital and so what happened to 20 years ago when the healthcare system is so awful?
Okay.
That's what keeping people out from coming home and bringing the money and putting it in St. Kitts. They need a good healthcare system. I cannot travel unless I get a traveler's insurance because I just be scared that if something happened to me, I might not survive to come back to the U.S.
Okay, thanks very much for your contribution and keep on listening. Hopefully, if you feel like calling back later, do so. Okay. Yes, we have another call. Hi, good day. Go right ahead, please.
Yes, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
I just want to say tomorrow is the big day. My prayer is with SKN. And to my people in Connery, my friends and family, do it for me and y'all, please. Do it for me and you. And I just want to pray that the people go out and like the lady say, vote for a better, safer, stronger future. So think it and need it. Connolly, do the right thing. Do the right thing.
Can you tell us what is? Can you tell us what is the right thing?
The right thing is Hamilton. Hamilton for 8. Hamilton. That's where it is. That's the right thing.
Why is that the right thing?
Why is that the right thing? We know what we had on the Labour and the whole, and it's not even just one person in the party. One person, we don't want the Labour at all. We know what we had for the 20 years under them. We know. The country know what we had under them. Look at what we have now. The peace that we have, we want to hold on to it. We really want to hold on to it. So my people of Connery, family and friends, dip for me and you please tomorrow. Monstrat, good morning, my brother in Christ. Love you, culture. Everybody, have a great day, you guys.
Okay, thank you very much for calling. We do have another caller. Hello, good morning. Hi, caller.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, I'm calling from a political analyst position.
Okay.
And I would like to say that perhaps the reason why you're hearing so many callers in favor of unity has to do with two major issues. One, economic, and the other one, crime. For the economic, we've seen how tourism, just blossomed, bloomed. It was incredible how much growth we had in that area. And the money from that is able now to pay for a lot of things, including the support post-COVID with the fallout of the in the economy. And so many things that are being paid for in the country, and also how the country was being managed, so that now we have people who have their house roof fixed. I spoke to one lady, a big Labour woman. She said that when a hurricane came, she had to go and wait in line at the bank and, get out her loan and pay for it over these years. And instead with Unity, they came to her, sit down, took the measurements, and fixed her roof. She did not have to even take the bus to go anywhere. It was done. And that's the difference. And I think a long time ago, we had like millions going into places like the Christmas Harbor and Petition Hill, and even to some of the attorneys. I cannot up to today wonder how an attorney will get $3 million or $2 million for one case. What was the going rate? $25,000 an hour to get to that amount? So the money was concentrated in just a few hands, but now it is touching poor people. Poor people are getting their roof fixed. They're getting the $500, and they're really feeling something. And then the crime situation. Can you imagine that crime has gone down this drastically in the country? It's amazing. So people are really seeing that effect.
So your money is on Team Unity.
I'm saying
if you're
coming
betting
from an analytical point of view. I'm not voting. I'm just doing it from a political point of view. I'm putting out these factors. I said that could be the reason why your callers are calling in favor of that. No, my mind is not on any party. Okay. Another thing, too, the FBI letter that has no signature and so on, this is another low blow. I want to say something to Cambridge Analytica. Cambridge Analytica, this is the best you can come out with? An FBI letter of this kind? You should get fired by the Labour Party. They should hire somebody else. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much for your contribution. Oh, yes, we have another caller. Hello, hi, caller. Go ahead, please.
Good day.
Hi.
Yes. To me, the choice is clear, right? It's not about projects and handouts or growth rate. We have always had progress in these areas under all administrations. You just look back to, let's say, independence, except for 1 or 2 years, we have always been growing. Okay, so it's not about that. And even if you wanted to compare growth rate, the growth rate for since last elections have been going down compared to, let's say, 2013 and 2014. Okay, so it's not about those things. I mean, anybody who had $1 billion in inheritance should have been able to do even more than what was done in the last 5 years, right? Okay, but so it's not about those things, right? I mean, house roofs and so on were always fixed after hurricanes. As a matter of fact, after being decimated by a whole series of hurricanes, whole houses were built. Our housing stock, that was when our housing stock really improved, because whole houses were built, okay? And so what I'm saying is the issue is about governance. Everybody knows that things are not being done right around here. There are so many machinations and all sorts of what sound like a mafioso type things going on. And the reason that those things are flourish is because of the secrecy that we have. Okay? Government is not being run in a transparent manner. You are in the media, Mr. Richards. You know this. We will never know what is really going on unless we change the administration. Okay? And that's what we should do. Keep changing administrations until we get the governance systems that we want. We'll continue to have these troubles if we don't change the system. And Unity is not even talking about changing the system now. Only Labour is doing that. Right? Last election, if you recall, they had a good governance agenda. It was all about transparency and accountability and democracy and those things. And all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden, as soon as they took office, those things went on the back burner. Okay? They have not been delivered. So why should we reward them with another term if they don't deliver these things? You know, and then there's the whole question of leadership. That more than anything else, I think should govern how people vote this election.
Well, your argument,
the parties in their wisdom, the parties in their wisdom have given us two flawed leaders, right? You can find something to say about each of them, all right? But
well, I was about to ask you if you're suggesting that Team Unity doesn't deserve another term. The one you would be talking about in terms of being successful would be the Labour Party. Can you look at some of the merits of the Labour Party that would want people to support them and make them the next government?
Well, for one thing, the track record, right? No government, they talk about the past 20 years. I remember one central bank economist saying that the government then was responsible for bringing us from third world living standards to first world living standards. The single most important thing over the last 20 years in terms of what delivered our growth and that sort of thing was the CBI. The fact that they re-engineered it and it is still the driver of our economy. All these surpluses and things and so on that you said that the Prime Minister said we were having, it's due to that, right? You take away the CBI and you'll see how many deficits we have. Okay, so there's the track record, all right, and we have been through so many crises, whether it's hurricanes, the transition from sugar into services, right? The economic downturn in 20, not 20, I think it was 1990. When is it? When was it? Oh, it was around 2010. Okay. 2010, around 2010 or
okay,
2009, somewhere around there, right? You look at that. We emerged better, despite all this talk about having to go to the IMF and that sort of thing, right? We emerged better than all our neighbors after that recession.
Okay,
So
I don't want
you can't.
I don't want to I don't want to
do that.
rush
Yeah.
you. I don't want to rush you, but we do have other callers. Let me just ask you very quickly. I mean, how are you voting tomorrow? Are you at liberty to say?
Well, in this particular case, normally I would keep that close to my chest. But in this particular case, like I said, the choice is clear. Right? We can't go on doing the same thing over and over again every election cycle and expect things to change. I am saying that we should change governments until we get the kind of governance systems that we want. And the only way to do it is to change governments and keep changing until we do that. And so in this particular case, I am going to vote for a change of administration. Otherwise, we will be back next 5 years, next 10 years with the same kinds of arguments, and we would not be getting anywhere.
Okay.
This is the time.
Okay. Thank you very much. I have to go to another call. I hope you don't mind. Yes. Hello. Hi. Go ahead, please.
Good morning.
Hey. Just speak up a little, please, so we can all hear you. We want to make sure we're getting the points that you're making.
Hello.
Yes. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Mr. Moderator, I'm going to give you a boxing punch right now. I hope you can take it.
I'll try.
I believe you will. From my end, I am here wondering, why is it that you are putting persons on the spot to say exactly who they're going to vote for? I mean, in this atmosphere.
No, they don't. They don't have to. They don't have to. I'm just asking them if you feel at liberty to do so. They don't have to. That's their business.
That is true, but you don't know. You don't know. Some people may do. Because, we need to mature politically. And a lot of this divisiveness and tribalism need to be done away with before, we can reach to this stage. Right? And I said this on the backdrop that sometimes when persons in the media go to these, what they call them there, where they ask the politicians questions and so on. And I can sense that some of them are afraid, as some would say, afraid to ask the hard questions. And I'm looking at, somebody coming out and say, well, I'm voting for A, I'm voting for B. I think that is putting somebody in a more dangerous position. But nonetheless, all I'm saying is this. Persons talk about, well, persons going to have their reasons for why, they will vote here or there, either or. But there are more factors to look at than just economics and the crime. In terms of the crime, yes, we can say we have nothing so far until just recently, but nonetheless, we need to question whether this peace that is now around, whether it is authentic or not. It's not just looking at the surface and say, well, we don't have it anymore. What will happen after the next election? Is this authentic or not? Because if unity goes back in, or if labor goes back in, if this, what we have, is not authentic, I have said it before, there could likely be an explosion. In terms of the economy, this is what has been, everybody, every administration has their own means of development. As for those who left here in the 70s and the 80s, remember, 60s and so on, some persons who left here when persons had toilet outside and kitchen outside. This is the last picture of what they had in their mind. So, no, they cannot comprehend the development that has taken place from the 60s up, even if it is described to them. So that's why when some come back here and they see what has done structurally, physically, they are in shock because they still think it's donkey cats down here and toilet outside and all of that. So this is why they respond like this. But all I am saying, persons who are on the ground, they are the ones who live in here. They are the ones who are experiencing. They are the ones who hear. They are the ones who see. They are the ones who have been promised. They are the ones to see whether it was broken or not. Citizens, do not allow anybody to tell you who you must vote for. And you cannot just look at the past 5 years. No, you have to go back and come up. Everything that has been done, all of the ray back then, all of what was said, how these got in and whatever promise, see if it has been kept and whatsoever.
Let me just ask you very quickly, where does the overseas voting situation fit in the narrative that you're having?
That I am having?
Yes. Well, how do you feel about that particular aspect?
Whether they can come to vote or not?
Yes, whether they should, as has been the norm over the past several years.
Okay.
I know this year is difficult because of the COVID pandemic, but I'm asking about generally.
This is what I have been saying all along. This is how I feel. Our citizens who are overseas, and even if they have children who were born overseas, I still see them as citizens. They have the right to vote. I don't believe that right should be taken away from them, because I always say, we do not know if somewhere down in the future we are going to need them. Okay? And I don't think that we should just take that away from them entirely. We need to sit down carefully and think ahead. I think we are very myopic or short-sighted when it comes to these things. They should come to vote. However, I am not in agreement for any political party to bring in any voter. If voters outside want to come in to vote, let that be their own decision. But I always believe that these citizens should keep abreast with what is happening locally. They should be up to date, be well informed and knowledgeable about what is happening, so that if they choose to come back to vote, they can vote on an informed decision and not vote because when they left, the parents voted for this or the family voted for that, so this is what they are coming back to vote to, you know? Or they hear something like this and they don't know really what is going on, and they come and they allow themselves, or some might be paid off to come and vote. I don't know. Okay?
Okay,
so,
point taken.
right.
We may have other people. I just want to ask you very quickly,
sure, no problem.
when I say we may have other callers, just want to ask you quickly, though, how you feel about the observer mission issue. Initially, we were going to have international observers. Then we heard it wasn't happening because of the current situation, pandemic situation. And last night we heard that we, in fact, have at least one observer mission. Can't confirm, but I'm being told that it may be a CARICOM observer mission. If we hadn't had any mission, how harmful could that have been in terms of having a free and fair election?
That is, without external observer missions, and to me that was grave concern to me. I will not really trust the system, to be honest. I will never trust the system. I think it will be flawed, and I think the election will be would have been taken on an unfair footing, unbalanced footing. And some people think that, you know, whether overseas voters don't come in or these, it can be done here. No. We have seen over the past, a lot of our people, you know, especially some of them who are in the church, I don't know where their moral integrity has gone. You know, a lot of them, they call right wrong and wrong right and so on. So I don't really have much confidence if observers are not here. However, I do believe that whatever mission, they should have had ample time to come in. I don't think coming last night for election tomorrow cut it for me. There was ample time, and I think ample time should have been given, because I have to now question why all of this was done the way it was done. If there is confidence on the sitting government, you know, and in the light of, good governance, I think they would have done, and they should have done the right thing and remove all doubt in people's mind, because, like I say, it doesn't look good, it doesn't reflect good on the sitting well, okay, the election is already called and parliament is already dissolved, but it doesn't look good on those who were sitting previously. It really doesn't look good. And the election goes through in the absence of all of this, I don't know if persons would feel contented within themselves to say that it was a free and fair election. That's how I feel about it.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Okay, thank you very much. We want to give other people a break as well, but thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for that. Just to inform our listeners that we may be having an official address from the Supervisor of Elections, that's Elvin Bailey, hopefully at about 1 o'clock. I want to remind you too that at 1:30 to 3 p.m. There will be the operating room program with Dwight Astafan and Sam Conda. But at the moment, I think we have another caller. Hello.
Hello. Good day, sir.
Hi. Good day. Go right ahead, please.
Yeah, I haven't listened to the station in months. I just passed by and I'm hearing you now. I know your voice, I think.
Okay.
Anyhow, what I wanted to say is that it's a shame what's going on in Sinkers. It's shame. Let me start. I just want to say something about Sam. Sam, they got to understand. Sam, it's Sam nature, what he's doing right now. Sam used to be in a football team called Rivals. Sam, and he was a good football player. He left Rivals and went over to a team called Blackburn. And he's still over there cursing out Rivals. When he get back, after over by Blackburn, he go back to Rival, curse out, he start cursing out Blackburn. So what Sam is doing now to Patches, it's all in Sam's nature. It's a shame to see how Sam is behaving. How could the young people in Sinkit, who could have listened to? Who could have listened to? The whole thing, Sinkit is one of the most dirtiest, corrupt countries in the world. It's corrupt. The elites get away with crime and murder and everything else, while the small man cannot get away. Not on the unity. I'm not happy about the Attorney General Barrow, but it's going to be fixed when unity win this election. But how could anybody go against this unity, against Patches, against Dr. Harris? He saved us from Douglas. Douglas is a fascist. But people, I'm asking you,
caller.
Please, again.
Let's try not to impose names on people. We can talk civilly. We can talk civilly. But I'm referring to, you were referring to Sam Conda, right?
Yeah, I said Sam.
Right. Well, he is an individual who has a mind of his own, who can make up his own mind. Hold on. We're not quarreling, you know. We're not quarreling. He can make up his own mind as a human being. If he decides, I am here. Hold on one second, please. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
If he decides, well, look, I want to go there and I want to do that, I may not agree, you may not agree, but that is his position. That is his right.
What I'm telling you is in his nature.
Well, we all have things in our nature, sir. We all have things in our nature. We're not there to quarrel or to judge people, if you know what I mean. Make your point, but try make your point. Make your point, but try not. We both can't talk at the same time. Make your point, but try not to be too judgmental.
Okay. But
go right ahead.
Something that's happening, right? Dear try, and you might want to hang, but it's okay. We don't have any freedom of speech in Sinkis no more, because right there at your station, they don't let you talk. Backers don't let you talk.
Sir,
talking about things that you know about.
You have the occasion to talk now. Instead of criticizing, can you please make your point? No, I don't want to cut him off. I don't want to cut you off, sir, but make your point, please, instead of...
Okay, but what I'm saying now, I'm ashamed of my people. What are you telling me? Let me explain to you. Sam and I flew up on the same plane to New York a year and a half. And we talked, he said the plane is coming. When I looked, Sam sat in first class, and Dyer spoke about that. He said we have to stop putting the ministers up in first class. Let them sit back in economy. And I'm sitting in economy, and Sam up there eating his belly out, not saying nothing, and you wait till after the election to come talk about the party? Where's the integrity? Patches is one of the greatest criticians and Dr. Harris. I wish them all the best. Your boy back us over there and tell you don't let me talk. But it's a lot
Okay,
of
thank
stuff
you very
going on
much.
in
If you
St.
insist in
My
going
life
that,
has
if you
been-
insist in going that route, thank you very much. Hi, we do have another caller. Hello. Hello. Okay. What we'll do now is, I think we're about 15 minutes heading up to 12 o'clock and the headline news at 12. What we'll do now is take a few messages and then we'll come back and hope we get other callers.
Rams is for you and me. Giving back to community. Rams is for you and me. Better for your family. Better service, better price, better value, better choice. Rewarding you for loyalty. Rams is for you and me. Better price and quality.
Flo's new combo plan, the people's plan.
Combo.
Combo plan. You can call anyone. No matter which network you dey on, just use your flow.
I want a combo, but not for my belly. I feel me cell phone, so me call anybody. Call Mr. Man, call Granny. On the island, flow, come boom.
Yes, there is no need for to force no more. Cause it flow, combo plan, you're paying less for more.
Flow got a new combo plan. You can call anyone. No matter which network you dey on, just use your flow.
Dial star 129 number sign to activate your combo plan today.
Okay, you're back with Voices. I'm Ken Richards, the host for today, Thursday. And of course, in about 15 minutes, we will be stopping for the news. But as I said earlier, the lines are open. You can make your point. And we do have a caller. Hi, caller, go ahead, please.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
I'm calling from over in Atlanta, and I was listening to your show on Facebook, and it's very interesting.
Okay,
I am
please
from
go ahead with your
St.
point.
Kitts. I was born in St. Kitts. I'm actually from Old Road. I was born there. I went to school there. I read it. And people in St. Kitts need to wisen up and see where we were. I am 53 years right now, and see the kind of lifestyle that I had then under that present government, and what the Team Unity has done and has brought the people back from giving them like hog head half house, from using the outside toilet where you can come from your bathroom and just enter into your bedroom and enter into your bathroom. St. Kitts has made such a giant step ahead on the Team Unity. But I have come to realize that the people, my people there, they are so blinded, by all the wrongs, that they can't even wash the scale from the eyes and see what has been happening to St. Kitts right now. I am over here, and I don't believe in coming back to St. Kitts to vote. Why? Because I don't live there. And I was not living under the pressure that they were living under then under the Labour Party. You understand? I don't know the circumstances and the situation of what people that was people there. Know that there are progress now. You understand? And I believe and feel that the people who live there, who are living there, who are no one, they are the ones who are to vote and put into government the government that they seem best to lead them and to lead them in the right way, and to lead them the way that tomorrow when they get up out of the bed, they can come outside like I do and take a good, fresh breath of the air and say, yes, I can make it today because God has given me another day. I don't want my people in St. Kitts to be suppressed like how they was before. I have seen my father and my mother went through some things. My father is dead now. My mother is dead now. And my father was an old man, and he was treated so bad under the Labour Party. You know, that made me cry. The way how he was treated. His pension was taken away from him. My father used to cut cane. And when he go to get his money, he couldn't even get his money that he worked so hard for. I mean, come on, guys. Remember these days. Look at where St. Kitts is right now. Look at the progress that is going on right now.
Can I interject? Can I interject very quickly?
Right
Hi.
now.
Hello. Can I interject very quickly?
Yeah.
Yes,
sir.
You realize St. Kitts and Nevis is still very much a democracy, right? Hello?
I don't see it.
You realize St. Kitts and Nevis is a democracy, which means that people have a right to choose the government that they desire. While you might think one party is the best one, somebody else might think another one is a better one. That is why you have an election.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but the
I'm
people have
saying
choice.
That we don't have any right who lives up here in the United States to get a plane because the ticket has been paid for and because money has been given out to come to St. Kitts and to do what you guys are supposed to do for St. Kitts and Nevis.
So you are
the government that
so you are
want
against
in there.
overseas residents coming to vote in St. Kitts and Nevis. You're against it.
Yes.
Well, at least you don't have that problem this time around because of COVID-19 and the need to ensure that people are safe and to ensure that we don't go spreading the virus. The overseas vote is not a factor this time around. But you're saying generally overall you don't like it.
I don't like it because because let me tell you, I don't leave and come to St. Kitts to vote. I don't believe I come in there to put the unity in government and then the unity is doing bad for the people. I don't believe in coming to St. Kitts and putting the Labour Party in government and they're bad for the people. I'm making a choice for you guys down there, which is not right. You guys are supposed to make your own choice.
Okay.
That is what I believe.
Okay, point taken. But this is a difficult subject that if we really have to get into it now, we might speak for the next 20 hours because different people have different views on that particular issue.
Thank you for the time. Thank you for your time that you're giving me.
Thank you very
that
much.
I can say my say. You have a blessed day.
And you. Thank you very much. So it is now about, 8 minutes before 12 o'clock, and we do have to take a break at 12 o'clock for the news, but do we have another call? Yes. Hello? Hello, caller?
Ken.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes, go right ahead, please.
Morning. You want to know me touch my button, Ken. Make out a Montserrat.
Yes. Feel free to speak up, Montserrat. We want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, well, you know that me a free man, Ken, but, me not vote, but as a contributor to Win FM for over 5 years, from the outside looking in, we can say what, but, I don't really say to swing my election anyway, because that's the right of the citizens, but here what me got to say now. And let me say morning to all the listeners. My sister, you shout me up, me shout you back. Can Silent River run deep? And me the scared of just not hearing one side, and then the other side just a come out in a full blast. Now, for over 5 years, Ken, and I'm sure you will back me up. We will preach over and over. As long as Dr. Douglas ahead the Labour Party, he could never win one of the elections again, I think. Can you ever hear that?
Well, some people hold different views, so yes, people have different views, including that one.
But it preach on Win FM on a daily basis. Then even say, Dr. Douglas could still not the party, but they want young candidate because he keep back the young candidate on that. All that they preach over 5 years. The truth about it, if me now making unity, you know, they got all the nice on the radio. It's just to relax, cool, quiet. Why? Because Dr. Douglas just cannot win one of the elections as long as he's the leader. So for people fret up now and I beg and I preach for you, they only tell me that they may mislead me all the time. They probably may lie to me all the time. Why they so scared? Could you tell me that again? Somebody stayed somewhere along the line. And the truth about it, I really think that the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis really watch this election. I don't think so, Ken. Why is it that the observers come?
I have a bit of difficulty understanding you. I think it's the line, though. I'm trying my best to hear what you're saying, but I'm not picking up everything. But go right ahead.
You know, we asked the observers them come.
Mm-hmm.
The observers reach.
According to the information that we have, yes, they arrived last night.
Okay. Well, Ken, you only tell me now that somebody opened up themselves for last week, you know. You get that?
I kind of miss that as
rule,
well.
You set up the rule. You set the rule and you say that anybody coming in and saying has to go to quarantine. 14 days quarantine. Not that the rule?
That is the rule, but there can always be exceptions if there's another way to deal with it effectively.
Then,
doesn't that satisfy you?
Never end this note. And me only hope that Toya and Sam operating room, they up the line. Even there we about 20 minutes with them end time. And me not really see nothing wrong with what Sam can do. Ken, 2004, me rally and vote for the UPP in Antigua. Because me live in Antigua then. Ken, 6 months after the election, me ready to go back to the poll again. To get rid of UPP and put back in later. You understand that? Because the road that them preach when them out not the opposition, then take one wrong turn. After they get then they start to go down the road again, and they're very upset.
But you still have to wait for 5 years for the next election, unless something major happens.
No, yeah, 5. But hear what me say. Me say that in 6 months, when they watch the road that they pick in 6 months, just not 6 months, not even 1 year. They recognize now that when they out of the opposition, they may chat on two completely different things to know that they get in. You get the point?
I'm hearing you, yes.
What Sam do, when they kill Sam for, Sam got it, as Sam in the kitchen, I feel it. And again, let me just say one more thing on me, guys. The crime, cool down. The volcano on the monster, it cool down. But the fire, everything still on the monster, so me still have to keep my eye out. You see the street no clean up. You get the point? And nobody has said that, you know. The street no clean up. The illegal gun is still on the street. If you tell me that you are so powerful to cut down the crime, you should clean up the street one time and then it. You get the point, Ken?
Okay, point taken. But I have to kind of stop you at this point in time because we're going right into the headline news. But thank you very much for calling and making your points. Okay, so Voices will be back at about 12:35, but we're making a major stop, because we have to bring you the headline news. So we'll be back at about 12:35.
You found the sound. 98.9 Win FM.
We now bring you the Win FM Headline News. The Win FM Headline News is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, Carib Brewery, CNC Trading.
Protect your lifestyle with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tilly Wall with a low reputation and service for second to none. Securing you is our mission. People that you can trust, your business, property, we got you covered. Motor or personal, whatever it is, we got you covered. 130 years in this business, we've got you covered. For all your insurance needs, visit or call us at 465-2631 or 469-5303. Delia Walwyn, people you can trust.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world. Whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous, you can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air. We get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises, telephone number 466-9595.
Without limits, happy and free. The skin you're in with no apology. The one to seize the day. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. With LLB. Live, love, be. Live, love, be. Be who you know you can be. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. Angostura, lemon, lime, and bitters. Live, love, be.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts, offering 24-hour nursing, therapeutic, and residential care for older adults? It's situated at Otley, 7 miles east of Vastair in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodation to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020, fax 466-8221, or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com, or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
The Nevis Reformation Party is trying to galvanize its supporters to go out to the polls on Friday as they seek to work towards forming the next federal government on St. Kitts and Nevis. One person championing the cause for the party is former Deputy Premier Hensley Daniel.
So we have 3 candidates ready to take Nevis to a different level, ready to add new meaning to the federal process, ready to give new direction to Nevis from a federal level. Let us thank our candidates for getting down in the trenches. They have been working from the Nevis Reformation Party. Our youth are members. I believe they are somewhere around the country now because they have been going around Nevis with the message of peace, progress, and prosperity of the Nevis Reformation Party. Brothers and sisters, we have an important point to make in these elections. We have a few things to observe. That the vote is serious.
While speaking to the struggles of the founders of the party, Mr. Daniels urged his supporters to remember those fights as they go out and exercise their franchise.
It is only in 1952 we got the one man, one vote. And so on Friday morning, all those great men and women of the Nevis Reformation Party who struggled in 1970 to establish the NRP, let us give them a round of applause. It is true, and it is really true, that we are standing on the shoulders of all of these great men. And so, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, every time we get a chance to vote, we in the Nevis Reformation Party must go out to vote. Carry your brothers, carry your sisters, encourage your friends and family to go and vote for the Nevis Reformation Party. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I notice that we in the Nevis Reformation Party have over the years tended to say that we are not going to vote is okay. No, it is not okay. I want all of you to go out to vote. Go out to vote. Exercise your franchise.
The former NIA minister under the NRP government is suggesting, without providing evidence, that people in some of the constituencies are being paid not to go out and vote.
And the second point I make on the vote is this. As I go around the country and as I go up and down the constituency number 9, I hear that money is being used to do two things to us in the NRP. Pay people to stay home and pay people to vote against us. When we reach the stage that a governing party has to pay you to vote, it is an indication of failure on the part of the government. You agree with me? When we are in government in the Nevis Reformation Party, we say vote for us because we develop programs in education, programs in training, we put people to work, and we modernize health services. We say vote for us based on our record.
The Nevis Reformation Party will be fielding 3 candidates, one each in Nevis 9, 10, and 11. It is likely that the party will join with the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party for the elections. In constituency number 9, the party will field Kelvin Daly against Mark Brantley. In constituency 10, Bourne Hanley will come up against Eric Evelyn, while in constituency 11, the incumbent NRP Patrice Nisbet will square off against Alexis Jeffers.
CARICOM has confirmed that an election observer mission is presently in the Federation. In a statement posted this morning, the body announced that they were invited by the government of St. Kitts and Nevis. The 3-member team is being led by Mr. Gaspar Jean-Baptiste, Chief Elections Officer of St. Lucia, H.E. Mr. Arlie Gill of Grenada, and Mr. Chester Arlington Humphrey, also of Grenada. The mission will meet with electoral officials, leaders of political parties, and other stakeholders. The group will also monitor the opening and closing of the polls, the voting process, and the counting of the ballots. The observer mission will also issue a preliminary statement on its observations and findings, and a subsequent report on the general elections will be prepared and submitted to the Secretary General of the Caribbean Community, the release added. The mission will leave the Federation on June 7.
With the debate ongoing over having regional and international observers for the June 5th general elections, word came late that a contingent will arrive in the Federation late Wednesday. Confirmation came from head of the National Emergency Operations Center, Abdias Samuel.
We are also waiting tonight the arrival of the RSS plane, that's the Regional Security System plane, and that plane will be bringing to us the observers for the general election. Again, let me repeat, the observers for the general election will be arriving on the RSS plane this evening at 6 p.m. or what we say in military time, 1800 hours.
Concerns have been expressed over a recent announcement that the St. Kitts Evangelical Association, the St. Kitts Christian Council, and the Chamber of Industry and Commerce were acknowledged as the observers.
The local observers on the ground, they are merely being charged with overseeing the aspects of the polling day and not prior to the poll, the lead up to the poll. And I think that, it is unfortunate, Mr. Backus, because we need a sense of confidence in the system, and it would only allow for more transparency, to my mind, if we were having these international observers come in. Civil society can play and should have played a greater role in preparing for this poll. I believe that there were so many issues that needed to be ironed out prior to this poll because of the COVID-19 situation, that I really believe that civil society should have come together, and that is the heads of these groupings, and then mobilize their membership to allow us to bring these parties and stakeholders to the table and have a discussion as to how we are going to go forward with this poll.
Having received a letter on Saturday morning, we received it by email. I think it was sent on Friday evening, however. And we did respond on Monday saying our position, stating our position, and hence, and then also we wrote yesterday in an official capacity as the NGO coalition to the government, copied to the opposition, to all parties concerned, our position on a whole as our NGO coalition.
Details have not been given on if these are OAS or CARICOM observers that will come on the RSS flight. St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party's representative in constituency number 3, Conrad Maynard, spoke about the announcement.
We have been extraordinarily disturbed by the position that the government took. We learned of disinviting or uninviting or rescinding the invitation to some of the international observers, the OAS and the Commonwealth observers. At this time, it is absolutely critical that there is a sense of credibility lent to the process in light of all that is going on, especially under a state of emergency. We have seen what has happened in Guyana, for instance, where there are questions about the credibility of an election, and it is unnecessary for us to allow our country to get there. So, and it appears that the government's intention was only to have local observers. I think that is madness and ridiculous in these modern times. I mean, you want a stamp of approval for whomever wins or loses. And I think it was totally the wrong position that the government has taken.
There has been interference in the work of the Electoral Commission and the Office of the Supervisor of Elections, according to one of the 3 members of the Commission. Former Attorney General Jason Hamilton, the opposition's choice of commissioner, tells WinFM that activities that were being pursued by Supervisor of Elections Elvin Bailey were interfered with by the government. Hamilton, while mentioning concerns he once addressed, said he is worried that the level of interference occurring would erode the independence of the commission. They include the matter of selection of returning officers for Election Day, late publishing of the election voters list, late publication of the polling stations, and earlier preparatory activity that was embarked on by Supervisor of Elections Bailey being stopped.
This is Wednesday. There's not been a list produced yet that indicates where the polling stations for this election will be held. And that is because there have been some level of interference by the executive halting the supervisor of elections in the preparation of the necessary work to facilitate an election when he would have started that process as early as about January of 2020.
But why? I mean, that would have been a very important exercise.
Well, on the report of the supervisor, it was felt that any kind of preparatory work would give the impression that an election was imminent. That is his report to the commission, which he is supposed to do. But certainly the bigger picture on that is that the Constitution specifically states that the only person who can, or the only authority that can direct the supervisor of elections is the commission. However, we have a situation where, for example, the supervisor of elections would have prepared a list of persons to be returning officers. He would have vetted the persons, he would have interviewed the persons, he would have had training sessions with the persons. That list disappeared. Disappeared in the sense that none of the persons who were selected, and that list was voted on by the commission, and then a new list is presented with returning officers, none of whom were selected by the supervisor. The Constitution, the National Assembly's Elections Act specifically says that the Governor General appoints on the advice of the supervisor of elections. So unless the supervisor is going to say that he recommended a set of persons that he's never spoken with, never interviewed in the process, then it means some other level or arm or administrative body is directing the supervisor of elections what to do.
In your view, how can that affect the elections, the authenticity of the elections?
Well, in this COVID-19 era where we've been told now that they're not going to be overseas observers, it gives the impression that something might be amiss. We don't know, and there's no impartial person that is on the ground that can indicate whether something is amiss or not. Another example I can give you is the commission was apprised by the supervisor of elections that the office, the electoral office, would have some reduced hours leading up to the elections because there's some preparatory work that needed to be done that the staff needed to engage in. The commission was fine with that. We understood that. Once the office was open for the majority of the day, we didn't see too much of a problem with that. Lo and behold, a sign is posted on the door of the electoral office indicating that the office would be closed from Tuesday of this week to Thursday of this week, leaving only Friday for it to be open. Now, if the lists are published last week or were published last week, a person would only know last week that if my name isn't on the list. So if the office is closed, then where does the person go to complain that my name isn't on the list? Who addresses that problem? Now, according to the supervisor, he never gave that directive for the office to be closed. I'm certain that the commission never gave that directive. So the question has to be asked again, so who gave the directive? Who is pulling the levers? And I don't want to say...
I hear you saying there's a suggestion that the executive got involved again, possibly?
Well, I don't want to... The logical conclusion is that if the supervisor of elections says he didn't do it and the electoral commission doesn't do it, who else could give orders to civil servants to post a sign and to say the office is going to be closed?
When asked about these issues raised by Commissioner Hamilton, Supervisor of Elections Bailey referred WinFM to the Electoral Commission. He was informed that the person raising these issues was one of the three commissioners. In response, Bailey maintained that we should address those matters to the Commission. We reached out to Commission Chairman Nasibu Butler, who rejected Commissioner Hamilton's statement about preparatory activity for the elections being stopped. Chairman Butler, on the matter of the returning officers, said initially that he did not know about that. He later conceded, however, that there had been a commission vote on the matter, but he was outnumbered. On the matter of the voters' list being published late, he said the problem was that as soon as the list is published, there are some persons tearing it down. Asked whether anybody had been charged for that kind of activity, Butler told WinFM no one had to date been caught doing this. Meanwhile, Jason Hamilton was asked about the alleged government interference and its impact on the electoral process.
Well, I wouldn't say affected the commission itself, but certainly the work of the supervisor. There have been instances, as I've said, in January of this year when the preparatory work was started, that was curtailed. When the supervisor would have spoken to the commission, gotten their approval in relation to the names of the returning officers. That was curtailed. So I wouldn't say that it directly affected the commission from doing what the commission is supposed to do, but certainly they were able to influence the supervisor as to what was to happen. I mean, when you have done things like stop the preparatory work, you're in a situation where today is Wednesday, and there is no list that tells the public coming into a general election where you're supposed to vote 2 days before an election. If the supervisor were allowed to do his work, then those issues could have been ironed out a long time ago.
Jason Hamilton is advocating for a much more independent commission and electoral office to strengthen the possibility of having free and fair elections at every national poll.
But the obvious one is that it needs to move on from under the executive, the control of the executive. Jamaica is an example where their electoral commission, I'm not sure what the name of it is, but they operate in an independent way outside of the normal mandate of the executive. So there's a sense of independence and fairness that comes into the process. The commission doesn't hire anyone in St. Kitts. All the persons who are hired by the government. That's just the reality. In circumstances where we all have been talking about a transparent process, the only way you can get it to be transparent is where the levers are not controlled by the party in power. It doesn't matter who is in government. The process of determining who should be in government should be a neutral and a transparent process.
Jason Hamilton, the recommendation is one that Commissioner Butler told Win FM, quote, might be more useful, end quote.
Cecil Actil, NBC Prime. A Leclerc resident has been hospitalized with life-threatening injuries after he was allegedly struck multiple times to his head with a blunt object. The victim has been identified as 63-year-old McDonald Joseph. McDonald Joseph is currently confined to a bed at OKEU Hospital in an unresponsive state. A relative of the victim said that he was notified about the incident by the police.
Our relatives, in fact, want to know what really took place, and nobody knows. They don't know. I mean, my aunt came to look to visit me. My cousins came and they want to know exactly what really, who is the person responsible for what they did to him. And up to now, I'm not getting no kind of report of anybody coming to me.
An emergency crew at the St. Lucia Fire Service responded to the scene at Jeremy Street on Wednesday, May 27th at approximately 11:15 a.m.
Fire personnel at the Grosley Fire Station responded to an emergency call at Jeremy Street, Castries on Wednesday, 27th May at approximately 11:15 a.m. Information received stated that a male individual was struck in the head with a post. The responding officers found the individual lying on his back on the ground in the care of police officers. The patient, who appeared unconscious, was given a rapid examination which revealed a laceration to his left ear and the back of his head. Immediately, a neck brace was placed on the patient and he was transferred to the ambulance for further assessment and treatment. His wounds were then cleaned and bandaged. In a stable condition, the patient was transported to the OKEU hospital for further medical treatment.
According to information received, the incident took place in the full view of street-side vendors. Moments before the incident, Joseph was running an errand in the vicinity of Jeremy Street. Vendors Association President Peter Ras Ipa Isaac had this to say following the incident.
This sad moment for the vendors because they're saying that this guy has been a guy who does what you call sort of handiwork, handyman for the vendors. We carry their goods to and fro, and so on. Wherever they have to go with their goods, sometimes, vendors, they sometimes leave the market and they go out on the street, they venture. And he does be one of the persons who do that and help them in that regard. The other thing he does is sometimes when they have goods that, they really want to sell fast and sell cheap, such as plantain, he normally goes around and sell this plantain for $2 a heap and so on.
The Vendors Association president has appealed to members of the public to be a little more sensitive to the needs of persons, specifically those who assist in running errands for others. One man is currently assisting police with the investigation in that matter. Cecil Actil, NBC Prime.
This is Al Jazeera.
Cities across the United States are bracing for more protests as crowds gather to remember George Floyd. Within the past 15 minutes, the body of the 46-year-old black American has arrived for the first of the memorial gatherings in the city of Minneapolis. Now, that's where he died 10 days ago after a policeman knelt on his neck as he was arrested. The memorial is due to be attended by friends, civil rights leaders and others who shared in the outrage over the death. All 4 officers involved now face charges, a key demand of protesters. Meanwhile, extra security is in place at the White House after days of demonstrations. Let's begin our coverage in Minneapolis, where we can join John Hendren, our correspondent, who's standing by. Just give us a sense of what's happening there, knowing that George Floyd's body will soon be in a hearse.
That's right, Sohail. It was George Floyd's body actually arrived in that hearse right over there, and at the corner, as it turned, the Minneapolis police chief took a knee out of respect for Mr. Floyd, and of course it was his police force that was responsible for holding Mr. Floyd down in the minutes before his death. So we understand that Reverend Al Sharpton will be overseeing this event, but the guest list has been rather closely held, although apparently there is music. And the Floyd family had said that the one thing they wanted to happen before this event occurred was for all 4 of those police officers who were involved in his detention to be arrested and charged, and that has happened. So we've had charges, first of all, of second-degree murder. That's an elevated charge from third-degree murder, rather. And then the other officers were charged with aiding and abetting in that second-degree murder. And the difference in that charge is that originally it was just a reckless disregard for human life. This suggests that the killing was intentional but not premeditated, and that adds significant time. The maximum sentence for the original charge for that officer, Derek Chauvin, was 25 years. Now it is 40 years. But today is really about the family's opportunity to remember George Floyd and to personalize him, to talk about the man he was, and not that dehumanized figure who we know from the video underneath the knees of 3 police officers with one standing by. So I expect we're going to hear from family members as to what his daughter Gianna has lost, how his brothers feel about this, and of course the Reverend Al Sharpton is expected to talk about the civil rights aspect of this case, what this signifies and why the movement that began here and spread across the country needs to go forward.
John, of course, we will continue to check in with you through the day as that memorial service continues. For the moment from Minneapolis, thank you. Well, Donald Trump's been accused of inflaming the Black Lives Matter protests and trying to deliberately divide America. His former Defense Secretary Jim Mattis has written a scathing, open letter calling the president a danger to the Constitution. He compared Trump's orders to deploy National Guard troops to Nazi ideology. In response, Trump has tweeted that it was an honor to fire Mattis despite the general resigning over the US pulling troops out of Syria. Let's go straight over to our White House correspondent, Kimberly Halkett. And it does seem that, you know, with the president's tweeting, we're in for a war of words here. That happening while there are barricades going up around the White House. What is going on?
Well, the White House is becoming heavily fortified in advance of what is expected to be a weekend that could be rowdy, violent, as the peaceful protests perhaps transition again to much of the sort of looting that we saw earlier in the week in Washington, D.C. At one point on Friday evening, the U.S. president heading down temporarily into an underground bunker in the White House. So this is sort of in anticipation of that potential. Not only are we seeing the barricades going up in terms of of the chain link fence, pushing the tourists very far away from the White House. But we're also seeing the boarding up of businesses, not just those that have had their windows smashed, but also those that are trying to anticipate that and prevent that. Now, we've seen a very heavy presence throughout Washington, D.C. The Attorney General Bill Barr essentially setting up a command center some blocks from here through the FBI and preparing to show a stunning show of force in the nation's capital. What does that look like? It's city police, it's soldiers, and it's also police from the various agencies. So this is a White House that is preparing, as the U.S. president continues to tweet, law and order.
Indeed, and of course we're expecting more grim news on the jobs front to add to the chaos of certainly the civil disturbances that we've seen and also COVID-19.
Yeah, this isn't just a crisis of civil unrest in the United States right now. This is a country with among the highest infections on the planet in terms of coronavirus and COVID-19. And that has certainly had an impact on the U.S. economy. As we've been reporting here on Al Jazeera, the number of Americans, according to these latest numbers and unemployment claims filed, now 1 in 5, the new number, 1.9 million filing jobless claims last week. And while the White House is trying to put a positive spin on that, saying, look at the number of claims filed this week to last week. Well, it's down from the previous week. That still isn't a good number. It shows that more than 40 million people in the United States are not working right now and lost their jobs almost overnight. And we're bracing for more bad numbers because the unemployment rate will come out on Friday. We are expecting that it will be somewhere around 20%. Those are numbers we haven't seen since the 1930s, the Great Depression. And the projections are from the Congressional Budget Office that this depressed economy may not recover until the year 2030.
And of course, we're also getting news, lots of stuff, of course, happening in the US.
That was the WinFM Headline News, brought to you by KDP Enterprises, Caribbean Alliance, Carrie Brewery, CNC Trading, The Grange.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts, offering 24-hour nursing, therapeutic, and residential care for older adults? It's situated at Otley, 7 miles east of Vastair in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodation to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020, fax 466-8221, or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com, or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Without limits, happy and free. The skin you're in with no apology. The one to seize the day. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. With LLB. Live, love, be. Live, love, be. Be who you know you can be. Grab an LLB. Live, love, be. Angostura, lemon, lime, and bitters. Live, love, be.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world. Whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous, you can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air. We get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises, telephone number 466-9595.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Protect your lifestyle with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Till you walk with a low reputation and service for second to none. Securing you is our mission. People that you can trust, your business, property, we got you covered. Motor or personal, whatever it is, we got you covered. 130 years in this business, we've got you covered. For all your insurance needs, visit or call us at 465-2631 or 469-5303. Delia Walwyn, people you can trust.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
When is the last time that you've had lunch or dinner away from home? The ambience of Sweet Cane on Port Zante provides you with that touch. Sweet Cane daily specials include burgers, wraps, soup, and tasty seafood dishes. Sweet Cane also caters for events and special parties. Call our Sweet Cane hotline at 465-4345 or 665-7628. Sweet Cane, they've got the touch.
This is your local weather forecast brought to you by Sweet Cane. Local weather forecast for St. Cat's and Nevis, valid up to 8 a.m. tomorrow, Friday, 5th June. Synopsis: a slighter tighter pressure gradient will maintain a moderate to sometimes fresh breeze over the leewards and BVI today and tonight, while low moisture levels will continue to restrict shower activity over these islands today. Tonight, a weak tropical wave could slightly increase the chance of passing showers over the leewards. Today's weather, partly cloudy with a 20% or slight chance of a brief passing shower. Tonight's weather, partly cloudy with a 40% or moderate chance of brief overnight showers. Winds east at 10 to 18 knots or 19 to 33 kilometers, with possible gusts to 28 knots or 52 kilometers, mainly over elevated terrain. Seas 1.2 to 1.8 meters or 4 to 6 feet. A small craft caution remains in effect mainly for choppy seas on the windward side of the island. Seas 1.2 to 1.8 meters or 4 to 6 feet. A small craft caution remains in effect mainly for choppy seas on the windward side of the islands. Today's sunset 6:43 p.m. Tomorrow's sunrise 5:36 a.m. This has been your local weather forecast, valid up to 8 a.m. tomorrow. Brought to you by Sweet Cane.
When is the last time that you've had lunch or dinner away from home? The ambience of Sweet Cane on Port Zante provides you with that touch. Sweet Cane daily specials include burgers, wraps, soup, and tasty seafood dishes. Sweet Cane also caters for events and special parties. Call our Sweet Cane hotline at 465-4345 or 665-7628. Sweet Cane, they've got the touch.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Why not stay in? Turn off the alarm clock and sleep some more on your perfect mattress from Quartz. For the widest range of mattresses from the world's best brands, the best value guaranteed. Shop today and let our sleep experts help you to decide on the best option to suit your needs. At Quartz, we don't just sell mattresses, we're offering you the best night's sleep. So, sleep in a little on your new mattress from Quartz. Quartz, bringing value home.
This is an unprecedented announcement from Horseman's. Get up to $30,000 off and pay zero VAT on top of that. It's Horseman's Automotive Unprecedented Sales Event happening now. Yes, for the first time ever, you get up to $30,000 off and pay zero VAT on top of that. Yes, pay zero VAT and get up to $30,000 off on top of that. This has never been seen before. Unprecedented savings at the Unprecedented Auto Sales Event at Horseman's Automotive. Up to $30,000 off and pay zero VAT on top of that. Let me repeat, up to $30,000 off and pay zero VAT on top of that. Don't miss this. It's unprecedented. Terms and conditions apply.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 30 days of unlimited social messaging, 10 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, and 1,000 local anywhere calls and texts. With the always-on prepaid plan, all for $100. Keep your number when you switch to St. Kitts' most reliable LTE network. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
Welcome to the rest of today's edition of Voices. Of course, tomorrow is the national general election, and we're looking ahead to the election tomorrow, addressing various aspects of what obtains in terms of making sure that the election goes as smoothly as possible. We have been reporting, and you may have heard it on the news as well, that we do have an observer mission to monitor tomorrow's election, and it is a CARICOM mission, so it's a regional grouping, which is pretty good. We're also looking at the political parties and the coalition who are contesting tomorrow's elections. We did play during the first part the political. Yes, we did play the political leaders of the Team Unity and the political leaders of the Labour Party and the NPR soliciting people's votes, asking people to vote in tomorrow's elections for them. But we do have a call at this time, so let's take it. Hello? Hello? Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. That leadership question. Mm-hmm. Right, I think it's absolutely important in this election, right? Because it is clear that even in a crisis, Dr. Harris is incapable of unifying our divided country. Okay, and post-COVID, we are in for some tough times, and we are going to need to galvanize the whole country behind pretty much a singleness of purpose. You know, at least Douglas was contrite and has learned from his mistakes. He is definitely more humble now compared to once ago. But Harris does not possess the humility needed to lead. Just look at this spat between him and Gaston Brown. I am sure that many CARICOM citizens are offended by the comparisons that Harris has been doing with their countries. Okay? It's insensitive, and it's promoting disharmony between not only his colleague prime ministers, but between CARICOM citizens. Remember, this is also hurricane season, okay? Not just the political season. And, you know, anything can happen. And we may need to turn to some of these same countries, our neighbors, who we are here making all these boasts about, and this jingoism. You know, it was totally unnecessary, okay? And this just goes to show the difference in the approaches of our leaders.
Well, let's look at what you're mentioning. I think Prime Minister Harris is more intent on showing that, look, I'm performing and I'm performing well, and he feels the need to compete or to compare with his CARICOM and OECS colleagues.
Why should he feel the need to do that?
There could be a bit of sensitivity. Every time I hear him make those comparisons, I feel just a little squeamish, because
of course,
personally, I'm speaking personally, I don't think it's a good thing to do, primarily because you're part of an OECS grouping and you're supposed to be moving forward with integration and really and truly you in harmony rather than the kind of friction that I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming because it keeps on recurring all the time.
Yes,
Luke and Kitts and Nevis is the best
time.
in the world, and so other people will feel a little funny. You know what I mean?
It's not the first time. Yeah, that's the whole point. It's been a continuing thing for him. I mean, you are running in your country, right? Try to persuade your country that you're doing a good job. Why do you have to bring in other countries? If you were to look at comparisons, people would say, as the central bank, the late central bank governor had said, that St. Kitts was the one bright spot in the OECS in 2014. Right? Maybe it's because of those kinds of comparisons he's still doing the same thing.
No, the thing is though, the central bank saying that is one thing, right? Me saying that, me boasting about myself and saying I'm doing so well, I'm doing better than you and everybody else, a little bit of sensitivity could work in there. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? If I'm doing well, I mean, of course I'll be happy if I'm doing very well. I cannot dispute that. You know what I mean?
It should show. It should show. You shouldn't need to have to resort to that.
Mm-hmm. But the central bank doing it is not as bad. The central bank doing it is not as bad as me saying, "Look, man, let me fix up my shoulders. I'm doing so well, man. I'm doing better than everybody else." You know,
it shows an immaturity. It shows an immaturity in the leadership.
It might just be his style, but how can I say?
It's more than just style. It shows an immaturity and insensitivity that leaders should not have.
Dr. Harris has been in government and in parliament for almost 2 decades, as far as I can tell. So calling him immature is a little bit,
Well, what do you call it then?
A lack of. I call it, and I'm being honest here. I call it a bit of a lack of sensitivity, Because if you're doing well, as I said, I mean, you want to shout it to the rooftops. But if you're doing it at the expense of, or if I'm doing it at the expense of bringing people down by saying, "Look, I'm so much better than you."
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And remember that he's speaking on behalf of the country. So people are going to be looking not at this. That Dr. Harris is a bombastic guy, always boasting, right? Even about things he should be ashamed about. People are going to look at it as kitty-shans. This kitty-shans, being in our faces.
Okay, but let's move on because it's not
right.
Tim Harris bashing there today. Let's move on.
Okay. Well, that's what I say. It's leadership. He's vying for the leadership. And so things like that and his character and everything else should come into play. Okay? That's my point.
Point taken.
Okay.
All right. That's it? Okay. So, yes, we are trying to do many things here. We do have another caller. Hi, caller.
And how are you?
Oh, I'm trying to be good. Go right ahead, please.
Leadership always a concern in all the elections. The national issues that's facing the candidates and facing the electorate ain't nothing new. The last election were the same issues. It's just that they're a little more serious now. But the same issues. The former leader, he had those issues to face. Out of all the leadership from since independence, he get the most opportunity to govern the country. So So when some people say give him another chance, he don't have more chances than everybody else. He had the most. You know?
Can I ask you what makes a good leader in your book?
A good leader is one who raises standard. That someone else, that he set the standards that others could follow him. He set an example in morals, in principles, those kind of things. Those are leadership. You set the bar that others could see, the example that you're setting. So you lay out a good foundation. That's the best. And a good leader always have to remember he's in the hands of God. He's not leading his own direction. So whatever he does, he must do it with goodwill.
To what extent would you say tomorrow's election should focus on the kind of leadership those who are contending are offering?
To what extent?
Yeah, should leadership play a role?
That's why I say leadership, until today, leadership is playing a role. Leadership always play a role in the elections. It's not nothing new. All the national issues, the economy, development, all those things always plays. Because listen, I want to tell you why I said that too. Some time ago on Operation Rescue, I think it's not this week program, the week before, Dwyer asked Sam Kondo a question, a very important question.
You're referring to Dwyer Astafad?
Yes.
Okay.
On his program, Operation Rescue.
Mm-hmm.
It was public, so that's why I use the name like that. And he asked Sam Kondo a question. Why did he leave the Labour Party? And Sam Kondo answered the question honestly. And everybody in the country, how he answered the question, he relayed the event that happened. All of us know that. Even the government ministers would relate to the same thing that Sam Kondo related to. And in his response, he said one was the senator's bill. That gave him the edge. And the other one was land for debt swap. Those are two evidential issues, national issues, that he find himself remove himself from the former party. And in contrast, you cannot say within this administration those evidential factors are happening nationally. We cannot say that. So it's a big difference. So honestly, we cannot say that the country continue the same pathway as the former administration because there is no evidence nationally of that. There is no removal at board field from the passport. There is no swap of land. Instead of that, you're trying to reclaim lands. So it's a big difference. Big difference. And if we all really say that we love God and we praise God, we talk the truth. You don't have to support John to say John do something good.
Let me see if I am hearing you clearly, right? You're saying some of the things that happened with Labour when they were in power, those things didn't happen the past 5 years with Team Unity. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying, when you listen to what's the question that was asked of Mr. Kondo from Dwyer concerning the reason why he left the Labour Party, the response was a national answer. It was an honest answer. And he talked about the senator's bill. They had to carry the government to court for that. That was a constitutional matter. He talked about the land for debt swap. So I'm saying, in this administration, we are not seeing the opposition taking the administration court for the senator's bill. We are not seeing the opposition taking the administration court for the land for debt swap. Instead of that, this administration, the people of the country is seeing, this administration is trying to reclaim the land from what was lost. We are not seeing the senator's bill in court. Certain constitutional cases that was happening under the former administration, you are not seeing it happening.
But
so
do you think
evidence.
Do you think the same thing will happen under different administrations? There are issues that some people feel the current administration or the administration which is the incumbent didn't, to their satisfaction, handle well enough issues they thought that should have been looked at. For example, Dwight Astafan kept on harping about the good governance issue. He felt the coalition made a lot of promises in relation to good governance, and they didn't quite deliver. So for much of the 5 years, he kept on criticizing them for that. Whether he's right or whether he's wrong, I'm just pointing out to you that there are other issues. You will not necessarily get the same issues being looked at every 5 years. Time moves on.
Let me touch a little on that, because I often hear Dwyer mentioning integrity in public life.
Go right ahead.
And those kind of stuff, right? But Dwyer himself, on one of his programs, he said that legislation, integrity in public life, is already, let's say, established in other close territories nearby, but it shows it's like as a sheep, the law didn't pass because things just normal. So instead of just, you might have said, you would like to get this done, but circumstances arises, you cannot get it fully implemented, but you make an attempt. That's the point. This administration is showing the whole country view. This is the administration who showing reform. They're showing they got the ability to stem reform in the country. They make the attempt with integrity in public life. So even if the establishment at the committee break away, everybody who was selected for the integrity committee, they themselves should have been showing that integrity to help this stem along. Some of them said the money wasn't too much, the money was too little. Whatever money you get, try to sacrifice to get whatever it is along. And not only that, you never hear the opposition take that integrity in public life bill and discuss it with the people, because it's going to infringe on everybody. They think it's only the government ministers alone, but it's everybody's a wide range bill. And
if we get into that discussion, we might be there for the next 5 hours. I was just pointing out that there are different issues that different administrations have to deal with, or different oppositions bring up. So you will always have issues to discuss. You will always have issues to debate.
That's how life goes.
Yeah.
We always. What is this life? We always have to.
Okay, but any other point you want to make? Because we want to.
Well, to tell you the honest truth, tomorrow the Jews are out on the street. The Jews are the people, and they would finally decide whether or not they will change an administration in a COVID-19, or they will continue the administration that is doing a reasonable job in a COVID-19.
When you are a juror, would you like to tell us, or would you not like to tell us who you're voting for tomorrow and why?
No, those things are personal. You know that.
I have to give you a chance. Some people don't mind.
Those things are personal and private.
Some people don't mind saying how they feel and what they're going to do. You don't. That's fine.
Hear what I'm telling you.
I heard you. I heard you.
Those things are personal and private.
I heard you. Thank you very much.
You take.
Okay. We have another caller. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hi. You're live on air. Go right ahead, please. This is Win FM's Voices.
Good afternoon, sir. Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I'm a Kititian calling from St. Croix, Virgin Islands.
Okay.
Respectfully disagreeing with 2 callers ago, where he mentioned to you that his immaturity as far as the Prime Minister Harris highlight more than once what he have done with the economy in sync is to compare with other countries across the Caribbean and Latin America. And it seems to me that the caller, he forget. It seems as though, or he pretending that he forget, that there were times that other countries across the Caribbean, for example, Trinidad and Tobago, when with the oil, they used to let the rest of the world know that they are the king of the hill. in their time as far as the wealth, as far as the oil is concerned. Is this gentleman also forget there was a time when Jamaica used to preach and lamented on the time that the other smaller countries got to suck on their breasts and their breasts like piglets because of the position they were in at the time? Let me come back down to Antigua. It's just a few months ago. Gaston Brown, the Prime Minister of Antigua, vowed to his people that he will take the number one destination from St. Kitts. That is where he's going to work on to make sure he takes the tourist destination away from St. Kitts. I am saying to you, my friend, that I'm old enough to remember when St. Kitts was in the shadows of Antigua for years. People got to go to North America, to Europe. We have to leave St. Kitts on a small plane to go Antigua. That's no more. It's not like that anymore. Even in sports, they used to always be proud of what they used to do to dominate St. Kitts in soccer, cricket. So what happened now if this is St. Kitts' time and the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis glory in the work that they've done, that the other Caribbean countries and Latin America can't compete? Because I'm telling you from outside here, many people envy the government and the St. Kitts people from other parts of the world. Wish there was petitions when they hear what's happening back home. My friend, I'm saying to you though, I'm saying to you that St. Kitts have nothing, and St. Kitts people have nothing to be ashamed of. They need to be proud of the accomplishment that has happened. So don't try, this gentleman can just try coming to see if he's trying to see who could beg sympathy on his part. No. We have to be proud of where we're going and where we're heading. We as a Kittitian, remember that we had our days of struggle. My mother was a teacher. How many money she used to make some months, sir? As a teacher in St. Kitts today, it's different. We have to be proud of what's really going on. St. Kitts is on the top, and we need to lay steady. You understand? Don't let nobody try to make us feel bad about our accomplishment and talking about it. There are people across in Latin America.
I don't think anybody should make anybody feel bad. The only observation I would make is that St. Kitts is a sovereign nation, but St. Kitts is also in a sub-regional grouping, the OECS, and you want to see them in the interest of integration working together. So working together to lift one another up. Right, but so nobody can take away the strides that St. Kitts and Nevis is making. Yeah. But if we're working together and you're doing well and I'm not doing so well, you should try to be encouraging me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Rather than saying I'm so much better than you, man. Stay down, man.
It's a more of fear of the Prime Minister of Antigua, that his people don't rise up against his accomplishment when they start to compare it with things. I personally believe he tried just trying to cover his back. You understand what I'm saying? Just to cover his back. Remember though, that the other people in the same regional organization you're talking about used to glory in the accomplishment when St. Kitts could not. You understand? They wasn't thinking about us as a group.
Yeah, well, if they were doing that, that is wrong, because if we're in a grouping, we want the whole grouping to move forward, not stagnate and not divide.
But I personally believe.
Okay, but I take the point you're making. The only problem I have, now is it's after 2:00. The program has ended.
Okay,
but thanks, and thanks for making the points that you did.
Thank you.
Okay, so just to remind listeners that at 1:30 to 3 p.m., the operating room will be aired again with Dwyer Astafan and Sam Kondo. We're also awaiting a formal address, an official address from the Supervisor of Elections. I am not sure at the moment what time it will air, because we were told initially 12:30, we were told later 1:00, but we never got around. But you should look out for an address from the Supervisor of Elections, Elvin Bailey. And let me tell listeners, and especially those who called, a great thank you for participating in today's program. There will be another Voices program tomorrow, hopefully, with another host. Thanks for listening. I'm Ken Richards.
This is an unprecedented announcement from Horseman's. Get up to $30,000 off and pay zero VAT on top of that. It's Horseman's Automotive Unprecedented Sales Event happening now. Yes, for the first time ever, you get up to $30,000 off and pay zero VAT on top of that. Yes, pay zero VAT and get up to $30,000 off on top of that. This has never been seen before. Unprecedented savings at the Unprecedented Auto Sales Event at Horseman's Automotive. Up to $30,000 off and pay zero VAT on top of that. Let me repeat, up to $30,000 off and pay zero VAT on top of that. Don't miss it. It's unprecedented. Terms and conditions apply.
Why not stay in? Turn off the alarm clock and sleep some more on your perfect mattress from Quartz. For the widest range of mattresses from the world's best brands, the best value guaranteed. Shop today and let our sleep experts help you to decide on the best option to suit your needs. At Quartz, we don't just sell mattresses, we're offering you the best night's sleep. So, sleep in a little on your new mattress from Quartz. Quartz, bringing value home.
Flo's new combo plan, the people's plan. Combo plan. You can call anyone, no matter which network you dey on. Just use your Flo.
I want a combo, but not for my belly. I feel me cell phone, so me call anybody. Call Mr. Man, call Granny. On the island, Flo, come combo.
Yes, there is no need for to force no more. Cause with Flo combo plan, you're paying less for more.
Flo got a new combo plan. You can call anyone, no matter which network you dey on. Just use your Flo.
Dial star 129 number sign to activate your combo plan today.
I've made up my mind. Don't need to think it over. If I'm wrong, I am right. Don't need to look no further. This ain't last. I know this is love. But if I tell the world, I'll never say enough, 'cause it was not said to you, and that's exactly what I need to do if I end up with you. Should I give up, or should I just keep chasing pavements, even if it leads nowhere? Or would it be a way, even if I knew my fate? Should I leave it there? Should I give up, or should I just keep chasing pavements, even if it leads nowhere? I build myself up and fly around in circles, waiting as my heart drops and my back begins to tingle. Finally